Hey everyone, Austin back again with yet another long play video. This time it's going to be Mega Man 5 for the 8-bit Nintendo. Now, as of recording this video, I am one step closer to having all of the NES Mega Mans completed and recorded on YouTube. The only ones left I have to do are Mega Man 6 and the very original Mega Man. And because of doing this long play, I might actually get on doing those much sooner than I had originally planned. So, but this is Mega Man 5, and yeah. I don't want to really start things off with a negative note, but I don't really know how else to start it off. I just would like to say, first off, that this is probably my least favorite Mega Man on the 8-bit Nintendo. My thoughts on this game have really fluctuated over the years. I used to really like it, and I used to really dislike it, and then I bought it again about a year ago, played it, and I was like, oh, this isn't as bad as I remember, and I just rolled through it in literally about an hour without really any trouble at all. And, you know, that was a year ago, but I decided to do this long play this past week, and as I was playing it, I just was not feeling it one bit. None of the music was really sticking out. The gameplay got repetitive. Clearly the level design isn't as solid as it is in other Mega Man titles. And yeah, I guess you know, to sum it all up, I just really was not feeling it. And I had actually ran through this game 2 days in a row. I did a sort of test warm-up run one night, and then the next night after, I did the actual recording. And to be honest, I was actually feeling this game even less when I was actually recording this, and it's supposed to be the exact opposite. So maybe I'll talk a little bit more about that as this game progresses. But aside from, say, this stage is pretty cool. The game is very repetitive. They throw a lot of the exact same enemies at you throughout the entire game. I mean, plenty of Mega Mans do that, but they tend to vary things up a little bit more, and this one doesn't. It gets extremely repetitive, extremely monotonous. Even on like the Wily stages, it's just the same enemies again and again, and in the exact same patterns, and usually most parts of this game can be overcome by just simply stopping, charging up your beam, and then moving forward and pressing forward, and just so you can slice through enemies in one hit. And you know, it gets kind of old. It's you don't really have to be kept on your feet all the time like you do in, say, Mega Man 2 and games like that. But yeah, maybe I'll touch up a little bit more on that. But if you pay attention closely, you'll probably see exactly what I mean. One of the shticks in this game is collecting the Mega Man 5 icons, or Mega Man icons. I don't remember if there was a 5 in there or not. Yep, there's a 5. What this does is, if you collect all of them, you get Beat. Now, Beat is basically the new addition to this game. I don't recall if he was in Mega Man 6, but he made his first appearance in this game. And what happens is, if you collect them all, you can call Beat, and Beat is used just like any normal alternate firepower. Boss Master, Robot Master, sub-weapon. So he's got a weapon charge meter just like any normal boss enemy's firepower. And what he does is he comes out and he homes in on enemies, and he might even be able to grab items for you. I don't recall. I only used him once, and it was at the very final boss, so I wasn't able to test that out. But I have a feeling he might do that. But yeah, Beat is actually kind of cool. At first, I didn't really see his point, but when I actually used him, I used him on the final boss, and he actually kind of homes in on enemies, and he does some decent damage, or at least on Dr. Wily he does some decent damage. So, you know, it's definitely a nice little addition, and having to collect the extra letters kind of gives it a little bit of replay value. If you haven't done it on one playthrough, maybe you'd want to try that on the next. The letters aren't really difficult to find. They're pretty much right in plain sight, but you just have to know exactly where to position yourself. on certain falling segments, or on one level there's you get on this sort of boat, and you can only move left or right, and you can jump. You can't move up or down. So, and it's scrolling pretty quickly, so with enemies coming at you, you have to sort of anticipate it. And actually on that part, I think it's Waveman stage, I ended up dying a couple times trying to get that letter. I wanted to get every single letter so I could show you beat, and well, because of it, I ended up dying a few times trying to get them all. And that actually leads me into the fact that I do die quite a few times in this playthrough. It probably won't seem like it right off the bat, but to be honest, I'm actually really disappointed with this playthrough, but I can't go and do it again because I sold this game. And that was the main reason why I did this playthrough to begin with as soon as I did. Because I don't have the cartridge anymore. I had to mail the game out, so I was like, I'm selling the game, I'm mailing it out, I've got to do a long play before I ship it out. So the night before I shipped it, I did my recording here. And even though I'm not satisfied with this recording, you know, what can I do? There's not a whole lot I can do. I don't have the game anymore. And I would have just deleted this playthrough and done another one eventually, had I still held on to the cartridge, but had to pay down some credit card debt, and so selling some of my less common NES games was the first thing that came to mind. So this was one of them that had to go. Contra Force and Battletoads and Double Dragon were a couple others that had to bite the dust. So, but yeah, not totally satisfied with this playthrough, but unfortunately I can't record another one. I mean, I could do emulation, but I'm not really a fan of doing that. That's sort of an extremely last resort. For instance, if I want to record, I don't know, Spider-Man and the Web of Fire on 32X because it's a $200 complete in-box game. So, you know, maybe in that situation I'd resolve to emulation, but in a game like this, you know, I'd rather do it with the real cartridge. And actually, I'm sort of cutting corners as it is, because I recorded this on a clone system. It's a FC Twin. I don't have my Nintendo hooked up, and I don't have my Super Nintendo hooked up either. I have them sort of combined with the FC Twin. And this is because of space constraints. I live in a pretty tiny room, and you know, my entertainment center really can only hold four or five systems, and maybe a couple more once I start like stacking them on top of each other. But so no, I don't have my NES hooked up, and I don't have my SNES hooked up, so I just use my FC Twin for that. It saves a lot of space, and it gets the job done for the most part. Most of the games I have are perfectly fine on it, and the NES stuff sounds a little bit off, but you know, what can you do? It's a part of the setup, you know. I'm saving space, so I have to make some sacrifices, I guess. But still, I'd rather not do emulation for recording footage. Now, maybe I'll do emulation, grab some footage for like full-on reviews, things like that, because the footage is sharp in emulation. But for actually playing the game, recording a long play, I definitely like to use original hardware if I can. So, the FC Twin's close enough. So, I think one of the high points of this game is actually the boss fights. I think the boss fights are actually pretty decent. They're fairly well done. They're not too difficult. They're not like Mega Man 10, where there's just nowhere to dodge. It's you have to keep moving, but they're not extremely challenging. I mean, there'll be a challenge if you just stand still, you're gonna get killed. But you know, that should be common sense if you're playing Mega Man. But yeah, all in all, I think the bosses are actually pretty fun in this game, and it's definitely the highlight of the game in my opinion. Unfortunately, the boss music isn't all that hot, and it doesn't really change for the rest of the game. I think Dr. Wily has his own boss music, but that's it. Every other boss in the game is just the same boss music, and it's just not a very good tune. It doesn't get you pumped up for the boss fight. Not like Mega Man 2 or Mega Man 3, Mega Man 3 especially. So I mean, It's just another one of the aspects of this game severely lacking compared to other Mega Man games. But nonetheless, the boss fights are still fun, and that's definitely probably my favorite part of the game. The level design, not so much. I mean, there's a lot of sections in this game where you can literally just skip enemies, which is what I'm doing here. I'm just sliding right past them. And, you know, that's kind of a shame. I mean, it's fun being able to bolt through these games, but I like sort of a challenge. I like having to do something, but this game, for a lot of it, you don't really have to do much. Just keep going. These little guys, I forgot what they were called. The guys with like the hard shell hats. There's a really annoying pattern which they do in this stage where you shoot them and they explode into 3 tiny little ones, and it gets annoying. It's not very fun attacking them. And when you charge your shot, it doesn't cut right through them. I mean, it will if they're already split, but if they haven't been split yet, your charge shot just makes them fall apart. And then you have to charge again if you want to cut through all the little guys. Kind of annoying, not too fun. These guys here, they put the shields in front of their faces, so annoying as well. I have no idea why they decided to design enemies like that. It's not that they're bad, I guess. It's just that they slow down the experience of progressing, because they put them a lot throughout the rest of the game, and it's just like they're not a challenge. They're just slowing me down, and it's annoying too, you know. So there's some kind of poor enemy design in this game, in my opinion, and just really poor execution compared to the other Mega Man games. And they, instead of making things more interesting, they sort of slow down the experience by just, well, slowing you down purposely. So it gets old after a while, and this game doesn't quite flow as well as some of the other Mega Mans do. So now this part, you have to just jump on these platforms to get the energy tank, and then you've got to kind of scroll over to the left a little bit to make the platforms reappear, and that's what I'm doing right here. One thing I noticed about this game, I'm going to assume it's a quirk of this game, is that they really like to toss out random extra lives at you. This happened on my sort of run-through, or my practice playthrough, and it happened on this one too. I just ended up with a ridiculous amount of extra lives, and considering how many times I die later on in the game, for once I could actually use them. The same thing happened in my Mega Man 3 long play, but I don't think I died at all on that playthrough, so it's like I had no need for all those extra lives. But in this playthrough I did, because I ended up dying quite a bit, partially to get the letters, and partially because I was just being stupid and kind of lazy at Dr. Wily's stage. On the initial playthrough of all the bosses, you'll notice me not using any of the Robot Master's sub-weapons. What I do though is, on Dr. Wily's stage, when you get to the signature fight every boss again section, I do use every single Robot Master's weapon on each boss, so you can kind of see what affects each boss. So if you just want to see that, you can skip right towards the end of the video and check that out. Otherwise, I'll definitely be using those weapons at that point in this video. Personally, I actually have more fun fighting the bosses without using the Robot Master weapons. It just keeps me on my toes a little bit more, because the Robot Master weapons, if you use the weapon that will damage the boss the most, usually it does more damage than your charge shot, and it's much easier to just sort of like cut right through the boss, and it makes them really easy. And the cool thing about the game, though, and the Mega Man series in general, is that you don't have to use like the right weapon on the boss. It's not like a puzzle that you have to solve, you know. It's kind of optional, and it'll make life easier. But if you're used to being able to plow through these games, making life easier just makes things boring sometimes. So I have fun just cutting through the enemies or cutting through the bosses with my just standard Blue Bomber suit. I guess the plasma shot, the peace shot is what they call it. So you'll see me doing that in the beginning or the first half of the game on the normal stages. So now these little guys, these little rats that crawl along the ground, they are pretty damn annoying. They are, I mean, just like any other Mega Man game, they respawn, and it's just, they usually put these guys in areas where you can't jump over them. There's another section on Dr. Wily's stage where you have to slide under something, but there's a rat on the other side. He just pops out as you're trying to slide through, and it's just poor enemy placement, in my opinion. So, I mean, again, it's not super challenging. It makes things more annoying than they should be, and that's how I could like sum up many parts of this game. Is things are just more annoying than they should be. Like these train guys, they always shoot at you, and it's just, it's not challenging again, it's just annoying. So this is what, Charge Man or something. He's probably actually my least favorite boss in this game. What he does is he shoots out these things, and when he does, he turns red, and you can't hurt him when he's like that. Occasionally he charges at you, but there's not always a set rhythm and rhyme to it. Sometimes he will just charge like 3 times out of nowhere, and it's really difficult to predict that. Whereas the other bosses are a little bit easier to predict, this boss is not. And you'll see that later on in the game, actually. When I try using the correct Robot Master sub-weapon on him, he just charges out of nowhere, and like right here, he's doing it, and I got kind of lucky. I thought I was gonna die there, but so he literally charged 2 or 3 times in a row, and it's just, there was no warning sign like there usually is in a Mega Man game. So this sort of unpredictability makes him a little more challenging than some of the other bosses in the game. And what's funny is the Robot Master sub-weapon that you use on him, which is Stone Man, doesn't even work all that well, because Stone Man's weapon just really isn't very good. It's sort of like the rocks come out and they rotate in a big circle, and the circle gets larger. So if the enemy is not in the path of those rocks, they don't hit. And with Charge Man constantly moving like that, it's difficult to hit him in the first place. So and when the rocks actually hit, they don't do that much damage. They do about the same amount of damage as a charge shot. So you're better off just staying back and charging up your beam and just doing it that way. But again, towards the end of the game, once I get to the Boss Master rematches again, you'll get to see me use Stone Man's weapon on Charge Man, and you'll see what I mean. So on this stage, you've got the gimmick of gravity, and just like in old Mega Man games, like on Bubble Man stage where you're underwater, you can jump really high on this stage, and they use this gimmick a few times in this game. There's in this situation, then I believe there's another situation where you're actually underwater. And I think there's another instance where they use it again. So it's used quite a bit in this game, and not a bad gimmick, but you know, with this being the 5th Mega Man game in the series, you know, it's definitely a reused gimmick. And if you're familiar with any of the other Mega Man games, especially Part 2, I mean, and you have good control over these floaty sections, then this will be a piece of cake for you. Or getting used to the gravity will be pretty easy for you. So now this boss he's again a little unpredictable in terms of his jumping and when he attacks, but usually he'll get up in the air, stop, shoot his stars, and then that's when he's vulnerable. Just like Mega Man 4 and Mega Man 6, I mean, if you don't have the correct Robot Master sub-weapon, the best way to fight these guys is just charging up your weapon, charging up your beam, because it does more damage than your regular P-shot. And in cases like this, where you only have a very split second to hit him, you're going to be wasting a lot of time if you don't charge up your weapon. So just charge it up. Hold it until it's ready, until they're vulnerable, and then just let go. Now this is Gravity Man stage, and I have to say this is probably one of my favorite levels in the game because of the simple gravity gimmick that they use. It's not one that was used a ton in these old Mega Man games, so it felt a little more fresh than, say, the gravity or, you know, things like that. So once they actually reverse the gravity, you get your controls actually reverse too, which is kind of cool. Kind of, you know, takes a little bit of time to get used to. So that's sort of a nice twist on things, and I do like that. There is a letter that's probably coming up shortly, though, that I try to get, and I actually fail the first time and I die, so I might even fail the second time too, actually, now that I think about it. But that's coming up quite shortly as well. And what's sad about that is, what I'm trying to do is, you'll notice there's a sort of a cross section where the gravity's going one way, shooting me up towards a pit, and then on the other side of the line, it's shooting me back down the other way. And what I'm trying to do is jump over at the right time, and get thrown up enough to where once I cross the line, I drop right on top of the power-up. The thing about that is that I don't even need to do that. If you look at it, the power-up's right up there, right above like the edge of the platform, so I could just get down and use Rush Coil. I mean, So I was really just trying to do extra work that I didn't really need to do. So if you get to that section, don't do what I did. Just wait to get down, use rush coil, and jump up and grab the power up safely. That's the key word there, safely. So that was really a life that I could have avoided losing. So, and now we're at Gravity Man, and he's got a pretty simple pattern as well. Again, a little unpredictable, I think, in terms of when he actually falls down and goes up. But all you have to really do is just charge up your beam, wait for him to, you know, switch sides, and then you just cross him up, and it's really easy to dodge his shot. So, and I'm just doing a really bad job of not running into him. So, pretty easy boss, but again, I think it's kind of a fun boss, and I like that. Now these little flying guys, the little floating balls, they make a reappearance a lot in this game, and they're just kind of, just like a lot of the other enemies in this game, just kind of more annoying than not. They're not difficult by any means, but I don't know. I'm sounding too negative, aren't I? These chicken guys are kind of actually useful because if you're low on health, you can just sit and attack their endlessly spawning little hatchlets or egglings or whatever you want to call them. And you see me actually do that a couple times in this game. And don't feel guilty doing that in a Mega Man game. I mean, if you're low on health, you don't have to progress. That's one of the great things about Mega Man. Is one of the things that makes them as accessible as they are. Is they're not... I mean, they might seem really challenging at parts, but... dude, just step back, kill some enemies, let some enemies respawn, get some health from them. You know, you don't have to feel pressured to keep moving on in the Mega Man games, and that's one of the great things about them. And you'll see me taking advantage of that a little bit in this video, and I've already done it once on, I believe, Charge Man stage. So, you know, take advantage of that. And these big guys right here, if you actually time it just right, you can slide underneath them. And that's about the only way you're going to get past them because they take so many hits, and they just take so many hits. And this up here, there's another letter, but I die trying to get it. You're supposed to let it fall a little bit and then jump, but it didn't register my jump, so I was stuck kind of falling down with it. The good thing, though, is once you get the letter, it's gone. So I don't have to grab it again, and it's just a matter of getting past this. And I think I might actually... no, I don't die here. And this section, just time your jumps right, and then you'll need to utilize your slide in order to get through quick enough. Now on this boss, he's not too difficult. What he does is he throws out his little gyros, I guess. I don't know. All you have to do is just jump over them. I usually slide to the other side and he'll fall down. And then you can shoot him again. and you basically just repeat the process over and over. Gravity Man's weapon is actually his weakness, and you can use it even if he's up in the clouds, and you'll still hit him, because Gravity Man's weapon is a full screen, entire screen weapon. So, and you'll see me do that when I get back to fight him again. So now we're on Wave Man, and this is the last robot master I have to kill, and then we're off to Proto Man's lair, which is a few stages, and then after that we have a little plot twist, yeehaw, and we're off to Dr. Wily's stage. So this is a level I do die at a few times because of trying to get the letter. It's the last letter I need in order to get beat. So, and it's at the parts with the moving boats, so to say, and you'll see what I mean. Now this boat section has, I think, 3 sections. It's got the first kind of like daylight section, and then you go to a screen that turns all black and you fight a big sort of robot, and it's pretty cool. And then it goes back to this section again, so you have to go through this daylight section on water twice. And the second time is a little more challenging, and that's when you get the second letter. And the first time I actually miss it. So because I miss it, I actually make myself die once I land on land, and I try to do it over again. And I'm pretty sure I get it the second time, fortunately, because I didn't really want to have to kill myself again and again. Yeah, it just passed over me, so now I'm just purposely trying to get hit so I can die and respawn, so... Alright, now we're at Proto Man's castle, and there are some sort of tricks here that you gotta watch out for, but nothing too crazy, and I think anyone should be able to figure them out. There are I believe three bosses you have to fight. Well, technically four. That they all sort of follow a similar style. They're like variations on one another, and you'll see what I mean once I get to the bosses, but alright, now we're at the first boss on Proto Man's castle. And the sort of pattern with this guy is every time you hit him, he shoots at you. So theoretically, you could just keep wailing away at him with just your regular shots, but what I prefer to do is, as usual, use my charge shot. And occasionally he will shoot at you when you're running away from him, so... And just try to sort of predict it, and you should be good to go. He's not too challenging here. Just remember, every single time you hit him, he fires back, so... shoot and then jump, basically. Now, I believe I actually die, yeah, this part, and so this is really where I start dying left and right. There's another similar part in Dr. Wily's castle, I believe, where I die as well, and it's, yeah, pretty annoying, but, you know, what can I do? And at this point, I just get frustrated. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna run through these enemies. I don't really care if I get hurt. So, we're at yet another stage of Proto Man's level. I apologize I haven't been commenting all that much on these last few stages. It's, I really feel like I haven't had a whole lot to say, so I've just been sort of sitting and watching as this video progresses. But we are towards the end of the game. It's not too much longer to go. Dr. Wily's stage isn't all that long as far as I remember. And, there are a couple tricky parts, but nothing too crazy. Again, like I said, like there's that last that one part I died at on the last stage, and so you got to watch out for things like that. But overall, all this stuff isn't too difficult. All in all, I'd actually have to say Mega Man 5 is probably the easiest of the original 6 Mega Man games for the 8-bit Nintendo. It's a game where if you just take your time, you should be able to get through pretty quickly, and it's just a lot of annoying enemy placement is abundant in this game. Or I don't even know if that sentence made any sense, but the point is, if you don't rush through it, you should be fine. If you do rush through it, well then you sort of kind of get what you deserve, I guess. That sort of thing. But if you don't rush through it, you should be absolutely fine. It's not too challenging, and just be sure to charge up your beam a lot. I mean, as you can see, it's pretty damn useful in this game, just like it is in, well, basically any other Mega Man game that has the charge function. So, be it Mega Man 4, Mega Man 6, the Mega Man X games, you know, and so on. Alright, so now this is actually the biggest pain in the ass of the 3 robot bosses here in Proto Man stage, and basically he jumps up in the air, he shoots it sort of homes in to you, not homes in, but it sort of tracks you a little bit. The biggest problem though is when he shoots out these 3 rings, they stun you, and they stun you for a very long time. I don't know if you get unfrozen or if you only get unfrozen when he hits you, but he'll always hit you typically, and well, typically he'll hit you, and he does a lot of damage. So my suggestion is to stay as far away as you can, because when he shoots out those 3 rings, you want to have as much distance apart from each ring so you can actually jump through them. Now this guy is sort of like a hybrid of some of the other bosses. He's kind of like the first boss, but he's also kind of like the second boss, where he's got this sort of shield around him. Now you can't really hurt him when the shield is outside of him. If you time your hits properly when both the shield things are inside of him, you can hit him, but it's really not worth even trying to go for it. Wait for him to split his shields off and jump over you, and then that's a perfect time to hit him with a charged shot. And then just jump over each shot. He's actually easier than the last one I just fought, but I'd say he's, well, I'd say he's kind of middle of the road compared to the other 3 bosses, so he's not very challenging at all. And once we beat this guy and we get to Dr. Wily's stage, we've got the traditional sort of like big, half a screen tall bosses. Very reminiscent of like Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 4 and games like that. Alright, now this boss, all you have to do is just shoot his little pieces, and they fly out, and you jump on them, and you shoot his head. Nothing too crazy, nothing too difficult. Now this part is actually where I die yet again. This will be my 4th or 5th death in this playthrough, which is kind of sad, but hey, you know, whatever. Those little circular things, they either push to the right or the left, and whichever way they're pushing, they sort of propel you in that direction. And what happened is I landed on that one, and it was propelling me forward, and I must not have realized that, and so I kept pushing forward, and I slipped off before I could even jump. So, but this second time through, I'm pretty sure I get through it fine. Alright, now we're at the boss battles, and again on Charge Man, I use Stone Man's weapon. And I don't have a ton of luck here. And I believe I almost die. And I think I might even use an energy tank on him. But with Stone Man's weapon, you gotta get really close to him if you want to make it easier to actually hit him. Oh, I do die. Oh my god, that's disappointing. Ugh. I forgot about that death. That was embarrassing. I should have just used an energy tank, because I had plenty left. Now, one of my gripes with this game, and it's in other Mega Man games as well, is when you get hit while you're charging, your charge goes away. So you kind of just wasted that time charging your weapon. And it's kind of frustrating, especially on bosses like this, where you might be able to get cornered and not really be able to do much about whatever's happening to you. And here we've got Napalm Man. You can just use Crystal Man's weapon on him. Now we've got Crystal Man, and use Gyro Man's weapon on him. And on this guy, you use Wave Man's weapon. Pretty much keeps him from being able to attack, which is pretty useful. And it'll cut through his stars, which is good. Next up, we've got his Stone Man. You just use the Napalm Man's weapon on him. A little bomb, so to say. And on Wave Man, you use Charge Man's weapon, but it's not all that useful because you get hurt almost every time you try to use it on him. But I go ahead and do it anyways just to demonstrate it for you. Now we got Gyro Man, and again, like I said earlier on in the video, you just use Gravity Man's weapon on him. And again, you can use it at any point. He's just hiding up there in the clouds, so you can go ahead and use it. And that's it, nice and easy. And the last guy we got is There's Gravity Man himself, and again, you could just use Starman's weapon on him. Now, Starman's weapon is kind of like Woodman's weapon from Mega Man 2, where you can just let it sort of rotate around you, or you can press forward as it's there and it'll shoot out. So you can use it however you like. Now on Dr. Wily right here, just wait for him to stomp down and then quickly dash out of the way and then shoot his upper part. It doesn't require a charge shot or any special weapon, so just do it however you like, but I prefer to charge because, you know, the battle goes a lot faster. You really only have time to get one hit in, so, you know, you might as well make the best of it. Alright, so this is the very last section of the game. This is Dr. Wily again. This is his last two forms. Now the first form is pretty simple. Actually, both forms are pretty simple, actually, now that I think about it. But he's kind of like old forms of Dr. Wily, where he shoots these bouncing balls on the ground. But they don't come out very often, so they're pretty easy to avoid. Probably the most challenging thing are the missiles that come out, so just you have to jump over them, but they do come out kind of quickly, so you have to be on your toes. Now this second form is what I mentioned earlier on in the videos, where I use Beat. And there's a couple different weapons you can use, I think, that damage him, but Beat, actually, when he works correctly, it works pretty well. It doesn't do it right here, but halfway through the fight, Beat will start homing on to Dr. Wily before he even appears, so you can tell exactly where to avoid him at all costs, and you'll see that halfway through the video. I actually discovered that when I was doing my test run, and Beat would home in every single time before Wily even appeared, so I was able to know where to stand and where not to stand. And I'm pretty sure there are some other weapons that can damage Wily more, but I just find it easier doing it this way. See, there he goes. He's homing in on him now. Now he's going to go to the next... Yep, right there. So, nice and easy. Not too difficult. The good thing about this Wily fight as well is that if you run out of like your special weapons, you can actually hurt him with your regular blaster. Which in other Mega Man games like Mega Man 2... I believe Mega Man 4, you can't do that. The blaster, your regular plasma shot does not work, which makes those battles a real pain. Because if you run out of the special item that actually works against Wily, well, you're SOL. You basically got a game over in order to get that power back, which is kind of bad design, but you know, that's how those old ones were. So. And we have finished Mega Man 5, guys. Again, I apologize for not commenting all that much on the last stages in the game, but yeah, there wasn't really a whole lot to talk about. So, but I'd like to say thanks for watching, and for those of you guys new to my channel, feel free to subscribe. I've got plenty more long plays like this on the way, as well as your typical casual reviews and more full-on serious reviews as well. So be sure to subscribe if you want to stay tuned. But I'm going to go ahead and just wrap it up here. I'm going to go ahead and let the credits roll out, and I want to say thanks for watching again. And hopefully sometime soon I'll be back with long plays for Mega Man 1 and Mega Man 6. Mega Man's 2, 3, and 4 I've already done, so check my long plays playlist on my main page if you'd like to check those out. So until next time, guys, take care.